Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is SummerSnowWolf, and welcome back to LEGO Arts. It's been a long time since I've uploaded anything on the channel, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But anyways, in the previous episode, we did a showcase on the Doomslayer from Doom Eternal. So for this episode, we are finally finished up with the project that I've pushed back for way too long, and that is LEGO Umbrella Academy 2. So for our new minifigures, we have Luther, Diego, Allison, Klaus, and Vanya in their new outfits. And then for returning minifigures, we have Fives with a couple of new modifications, and Ben. And so if you're wondering why the hell did you wait so long to do this showcase, Snowwolf, where have you been? Well, this ultimately came back to mainly a couple of factors, such as like getting busy with other showcases that were coming up that I really wanted to do, sort of on again, off again work, finding myself enough motivations to do the showcase. And then lately, real life stuff has really been going crazy lately, especially like with work related stuff. That's so much so, at one point I had hit a creator's block, and I had to step back for a little bit, and then finally when that faded, it's just been like, it finally came to the point where it's just like, okay, hey, I have to do this showcase because I kept pushing it off for way too long, and I'm not gonna be happy with myself if I keep pushing it off anymore. So I finally just sat down on like the work desk to grab the minifigures, and then just finished like doing all the modifications that I wanted to do with these guys. And while I wished a couple of changes could have been made for them in the end with the final results, I am pleased with the overall result. But anyways, now let's get into the actual showcase. So, as you guys know, if you guys are new to the channel, we're going to take these minifigures one at a time, to review them, explain my process, why I went this route, and then go from there. So without further ado, let's get the pedestal out and get the showcase on the road. Kicking the showcase off, of course, in number order, we have Luther, number 1. And this is the first minifigure that I did because right away I knew I had to do this guy, because out of all of them, Luther was going to be the toughest to tackle. I knew that I wanted, like with the first Luther, I knew I wanted this Luther to be roughly similar to him, but have some changes with him. So I kept trying to go back and forth to figure out, like, how was I going to do this? Because as you can see, he's like in like a white button-up shirt, a blue suit jacket, and then also some black pants with like his fingerless gloves, and a new hairpiece here. So what I did was I decided that I wanted to use the same body that I had used for the first Luther, but did some major modifications to him, such as like taking the minifigure, then taking my buzzsaw attachment on my Dremel tool, and basically just sawing off the lower half of this figure, taking some minifigure legs, placing them in between, and then just filling this whole center with Procreate clay. And you can kind of see like the clay that I tried to like blend it all together to make it solidify and everything. And then with a little bit of sanding and a couple of adjustments to the legs, so that way he can have like some articulation, so front and back. This came out as like the overall result, and I'm pretty proud of this. I did also try to make it a size, about like the same size. Like, hang on, if I get like the previous Luther's body, what I also did was for Luther, and it was for pretty much all the minifigures, is that they have the same headpieces from before, but these are sort of like alternative costumes. The only one with a different headpiece, with like a different face, his design is Diego, and we'll get into it a bit. Anyways, with Luther, if you can see with like the previous Luther, I tried to get their size like somewhat close to about the same. Not the same, but you probably can't see it from this angle, but basically this one is slightly taller. He's a little bit taller than I originally intended, and not super happy about that, but at the same time, it could have been much worse. So I'm giving a pass at that. He's also got articulation with the arms. Not really much with the head, but with the hairpiece, it was a similar approach with the first. If I did the first one I just took a hairpiece and basically just sands the hell out of it, enough to the point for where the sides almost got destroyed because they were too thin. And that was sort of like the general idea, because I wanted to capture sort of like that same kind of hairstyle that Luther has in the episode. Though, if I had to change it up a bit, I probably would have used a different kind of hairpiece than the original one. But that's all right. That's all right. It still matches up with how Luther looks like on the show. And out of all the figures, this one's my favorite because again, how this body came out. I honestly had no idea if it was gonna look good or not. Also in the lighting, you can see like some detailing with suit jacket. But again, I didn't know how this was gonna turn out because it was something I never have done before. I have been known to make crazy experiments with Legos, like with Bendy and Ink Machine and the Butcher Gang. But to do something like this and make it functional is really impressive, and I do like it. That I wouldn't change anything with Luther. Well, apart from maybe the hair, but apart from that, I really love how this came out. And I think this is a good sort of like representation of Luther in later seasons. Next up on our list is number 2, Diego. Now this one I'm the least happy with out of all the minifigures, and the primary reason is the skin tone. I tried to match it up with the original, with like the original Diego. So like if I remove his hairpiece for a second, you can clearly see that the skin tones that I used for the first Diego and with this one are clearly different. And I'm not happy with how that looks. Well, the previous one, in general, I am not happy with how that turned out. Anyways, but I was attempting to basically replicate the same kind of skin tone that I had made beforehand with Diego, of sort of like if this was an official minifigure and double printed face, it would have like one side would just be him with like just minimal facial hair, and then the other side would be him with like his little beard on the front. And I'm mad that I wasn't able to replicate that, but at the same time, I just basically had to work with what I got, so it could have turned out much worse than I imagined. So in the end, it was basically just came to a compromise that this either is gonna look decent or it could turn out terrible. So anyways, with the rest of the figure, it's pretty basic like kind of shirt for where it's like a orange red kind of design and kind of coloration. You can see sort of like the little, little lapel like collar on the front. There's also like these brown dots representing like the various spots that were made through like the pattern on the shirt. These little black dots represent the buttons. The buttons that he uses to button them up. And I tried to do a little like outlining of like where the skin would meet. It would meet with the shirt, and on the back is basically just simple adding some dots. And then these are just some regular black minifigure legs. Or like since I had a couple lying around, I felt that like I can save some work if I just put them on some regular minifigure legs instead of painting up some others. And then with the headpiece, one of the reasons that I went with like similar hair, just basically the same heads for all of them, was because I wasn't able to recover all of the photos of the faces that I had used beforehand. I was only able to recover Diego's and Fives' faces. All the others I would have to have redone them over again, and that would have taken up a lot of time, and I just didn't want to fully put in and into all of that, so I came up with a compromise of just doing the costumes. Anyways, with the rest of this figure, like a very basic sort of like shaggy hair kind of hairstyle with him, which I do like it. It could have turned out in a little bit of a lighter brown, because this does look like it's black. But it could have turned out a little bit better. But apart from that, I'd say it's okay. That overall, in general, apart from the skin tone, it's not a terrible minifigure. I will say it's not terrible. If I was able to have replicated that skin tone, I would have loved it so much. I loved it so much more. But since I wasn't able to, I am somewhat satisfied with this one. Again, could have turned out worse, but it is what it is. Next up on our list is number 3, Allison. Now this one is a similar thing with Diego, for where like skin tone could have turned out better, but it's honestly closer than I thought it would be. So for this one, I had to repaint a couple of times because like I was trying to match it up a bit more. That since I wasn't able to do it for Diego, I wanted to at least do it for Allison. Allison, and after a little trial and error, I was able to replicate it for what I had initially wanted. So it's not perfect, but it's a bit better. So with her outfit, as you can see, like it's her white and yellow dress that she wears a majority of the show. I felt that like this was a good one for her to wear. As you can see, for her legs like she's got painted on like some yellow shoes. The shoes I did this like similarly with the first Allison minifigure. This has also got a glued on skirt. I chose to glue on for the skirt this time because like I felt that like if I wasn't able to paint up the legs correctly and the legs correctly, I would have to have redone it. And also, I don't plan to dismantle this minifigure, so it wouldn't seem kind of a waste if I went on a removable skirt if I wasn't even going to take it off anyways. But some other details is that this is a like plain like print off decal for where I just printed off for like basic white with a couple of details. I then just went back with some paint and just carefully painted around the design of her dress. As you can like see continuing on the back, and then like for the base of the skirt, I just did like a basic gold yellow. Like this is the same yellow that I use mostly for bendy minifigures, and then just went in with some white paint and just did all these lines wrapping all the way around the skirt and the skirts to match it up with bit. Some of them are a little bit like lopsided here and there, but that is bound to happen when doing like this sort of like minor stuff. And one regret that I would point out is you can sort of see like little white spots in the front of the leg. Unfortunately, originally this was after I had finished. Like paint, letting the paint dry, and I wasn't able to like replicate the coloration. So that was sort of a flaw on there, but it's not too big of a deal. And there is some articulation in the leg, but there's not a whole lot because of the skirts. But it's honestly okay. And also with the hairpiece, it's just like one of the extra hairpieces that I had that's roughly matched up with how she looks on the show. I'd want to change it up, but I'm not sure like which one I would use. But apart from that, this does sort of match up with Allison. There is articulation in the hands that I did have to use like my mold remover tool on the inside sockets because there was too much paint in between. But apart from that, this did turn out pretty nice. And while I would have loved to have fixed up like the minor detail stuff, this does still pass out as like a pretty good minifigure. Next up on our list is Klaus. Klaus, number 4. And as you can see, he is in his cultist outfit, which I freaking love. I love that he had that throughout the show. Like his role was my favorite in Umbrella Academy 2, and I'm hoping that he does more similar stuff like that in the future, in the next season. But anyways, for this minifigure, this minifigure in the entirety was sort of a base white. This was sort of an extra torso that I had for like a prepped Clone Trooper custom minifigure. Figure that I never used, and decided that like, okay, I want to use this for something, and decided for making Klaus. So I decided to use that torso, do like a first base, just like drawing out the lines of like his suit jacket, like you can see the detailing like starting from the torso, going all the way down, and wrapping all the way around the legs, and then wrapping back up. And that was sort of like the initial design, and then went back with like some almost tannish like white kind of paint. It was almost like a pale light color to match up with like his skin tone, and skin tone on here, and then with the hands, these were like some spare like sanded up white hands that I had for like a Clone Trooper custom, and as you can see, like I did like these this robin's egg outline for like the cuffs on his sleeves, and then also for a little detailing on his suit jacket. And then down here with the legs, these were like basic white minifigure legs that after doing the detailing on the top part, that part of the legs, I then went back with a gray with the gray acrylic marker and just did each of these individual lines to sort of match up that sort of like striped pattern that he has on there. And then also for these extra black lines, and it's representing for where like it cuts off with the shoes. And this hairpiece is actually the same one that I had used for Vanya, but since she got a new updated hairpiece, I decided to use this hairpiece to match up with Klaus's like long hair that he has on the show. If I could have done like any other additional details, I probably would have tried to have add that gold like necklace that he had in like the first episode, and maybe a longer beard. But again, since I was only able to recover Fives and Diego's face decals, I settled for just using just like his regular shave that he does have later on in the show. But I'll say this was pretty cool to do, and I do like it that this still has like articulation stuff on both the legs and the arms. So I do like that. I really like that, and I probably could have changed up a little bit of detailing on like the torso jacket. But apart from that, this was pretty cool. And yeah, again, as I said earlier, I hope that Klaus gets another role like this because it was freaking awesome and hilarious. So I can't wait to see what they have more for him in the future. Now, before we get to our last custom of the showcase, so we're going to be bringing back some returning characters for starters, starting off with Fives. So as you can see, I somewhat updated this character, like giving him a brand new face printing, because this one came out so much better than the other one, and also the hairpiece. I wanted to update this hairpiece for quite some time, because while the Obi-Wan hairpiece had worked at the time, I wasn't super happy with it. So I wanted to update it with a brand new one, So I purchased in like this Commissioner Gordon hairpiece that they use for the Lego Batman movie, and I feel like that it's a much better addition for Fives. So I really love how this came out, and again, the face printing is so much better than the first time. Now, putting him off the side, and while we're still having him out, let's pull up with Ben to finish him off here. So as you can see, this is the exact same minifigure as before. There are no changes. He did collect a little bit of dust, and that's mostly because he's been on the shelf for a while. But apart from that, this is the exact same minifigure as before. Like, you can see the detailing with the hood, the paint on the legs, the details that I did on the front of his jacket. If you want to see a deeper analysis on this minifigure, you can check it out in the first Umbrella showcase video. But if you're wondering, why didn't I do the new Sparrow Academy Ben, since now since it's sort of his way of returning to the show? It mostly dials down to for two reasons. One, I didn't get a clear look at what his outfit looks like. So I'm not sure exactly how I would design it for him. And also, I want to see how he's portrayed in season 3. Like, if I decide to do an Umbrella Academy 3, I'd want to focus more on Sparrow Academy, because I'm very curious of what they're like, how they're similar to the Umbrella Academy, how they're different. So there might be a new Ben custom in the future, but until then, I settled down for just leaving the minifigure as it is. That there wasn't a huge need to change it. Probably would have just like gone back and fixed up the sides a little bit. But apart from that, this minifigure is still good, and it still holds up to sort of like how Ben would have been portrayed as a Lego. And last but not least is Vanya, number 7, Evan. So for this minifigure, the figure definitely has more detailing than the previous one. The last one was pretty easy because I just used like a base red body and did a couple of paintworks like around the arms and also on the front torso. This one required a little bit more detail work, but it was worth it. Worth it in the end. So what I first did was I first painted up the front of the torso in like this sort of sky blue color for like her shirt, and then I basically just like went around and did like some the rest of the detailing. Like I painted up the arms and the front parts, and then like the sides and the back in sort of this like bluish light purple mix kind of paint. I'm gonna paint to give up with her like details and the jacket. Her legs are some basic like black minifigure legs. I was almost gonna use like the minifigure and the short legs from the from the body that I had purchased for Luther, but then one of the sides got sanded a bit, and I realized that, like, you know what, I don't. You know what? I had already bought like this pair of legs at the time, so I'll just go ahead and use these. Yeah, use these for her. And like some detailing on the front, you could see of like before I like painted on like sort of the color, like where her shirt's like starts and then like goes all the way down. The buttons I did individually for like first did these black dots and then it came back with some white paint and carefully just tried to do the buttons, a little bit of detailing with a different blue and sort of you could see sort of like the silver that represents like the zipper that. And if I'm able to remove, okay, yeah, there we go. There you go. You could sort of see like where the zippers go all the way, like at least to where like the jacket meets. I didn't fully complete it because since the hair like covers it up anyways, there wouldn't be a super huge need for that. And speaking of the hair, this was something that I had talked about before that I wanted to replace with a different hairpiece that's the previous hairpiece. It was fine, but this one is much better, and it really matches up more with like Vanya's hairstyle a lot more than the previous one. And apart from that, the rest of the figure like turned out really good. That I definitely think that this is much better than the other one, and it definitely provided like a bit more and more like a challenge to like do some detailing work than the other one did. Even though I probably could have done that minifigure in like different layers. I didn't figure it out at the time, but this one is much better, and I really like how it turned out in the end. And that does it for this episode of LEGO Arts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, sorry that this showcase, it like took too long to do, but with a whole lot of stuff that had came and that had like come up along the way, I had to take care of all that stuff first before I was able to fully complete this showcase. And apart from the changes that I had mentioned before and that I want to make, I'm happy that the showcase is finally finished. And I finished. It was really fun to make, especially with a couple of new ideas with like a couple of minifigures. Overall, in the end, this was pretty nice. And I'm glad I was finally able to finish it, and not just like leave it off in a way that it would have been incomplete, and that it would have just been one of those projects that I had thought about doing, but then in the end wound up just like leaving it behind, because it has happened beforehand with a couple of minifigures. But I'm glad that I didn't do it with this showcase. I'm glad that it's finally finished. And again, apart from the changes, I'm pretty happy with it. So going ahead in the future gameplays are officially put on hold. My computer is slowly deteriorating to the point that it's now officially time to get a new one. In fact, after I finish like editing and uploading this video, I'm gonna go ahead and look into that. But in the meantime, though, I still plan to do some LEGO showcases. Those are still like in the process of like getting into work. But because of my work stuff lately in real life, I won't be able to upload into channel quite as much as I want to. I do. Believe me, I want to do like more stuff on the channel, but because of like work related stuff, I do have to take a step back a bit and work on that. But some showcases that I do and that are definitely in the works are like I'm working on a new Clone Trooper showcase that I'm hoping will be done in August at the latest. I'm hoping so. And so it's not a guaranteed, but I need to wait on a couple of things to arrive before I can do that showcase. Then I'm also planning on doing a Justice League showcase because I had watched the Snyder Cut last night, and I loved it. It was really, really awesome. So I'm working on a showcase for that. I had mentioned I wanted to do RWBY Volume 8, and at first I was like high and strong in that one, but might be in debate of whether or not to fully follow through with that. But I have been thinking about maybe at least updating one of my RWBY minifigures. Because I felt like that like it can use an update. And apart from that, mostly that's pretty much it. That I know it's not a whole lot of like projects that are going on, but wait, that's not it. Sorry, just realized. Some other stuff that I wanted to do are WandaVision is still like on the works. I'm still waiting to hear back from an order that I made on Scarlet Witch. I'm also planning on doing Loki from his new show because it's really, really awesome. some, and I'm also planning on updating my Black Panther minifigure because it's on the list of stuff that I really want to change, and I'm debating whether or not to do Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I do like the show. I think it's cool, but I think a big flaw with it was that it was taking a Captain America movie and shortening up into a TV show. I won't get fully into it because it would take too long. And that'd be a whole another video all on its own. But anyways, that's sort of like where showcases are now. And now gameplays, until I can like fix some of the technical stuff, and stuff. There won't be some on the channel for quite some time. But I'm hoping it won't be too long. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll keep you all posted on like some minifigures and figures on like some new showcases in the future. I'll try to upload like when I can. And overall, that is going to be it. So if you guys want to see like the first Umbrella Academy showcase where I reviewed like all the minifigures in their first outfits, including Dolores, you can check it out in my Lego Arts playlist. If you want to see some of my other ideas and some of my other showcases that I've done, like Bendy and the A-Machine, God of War, Detroit Become Human, Devil May Cry, Ruby, and all those other projects, you can check them all out on my channel. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time in the next video. Bye bye.